So in the last video, we saw how we can plot different graphs using Matplotlib. But there are some limitations with Matplotlib when it comes to customizing your plots or even grouping data. All of this requires more lines of code as it has to be done manually. This is where Seaborn comes in. It is powerful and easy to use as it is built on top of Matplotlib. So in this video, we will be looking at the different kinds of plots like regression, relational, multi-grid plots and so on in a very simple and easy manner. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright, so the very first thing that we have also seen with our previous libraries, we have to install them using the pip command. So all you have to do is say pip install Seaborn, and you have to run this particular command in any of your terminals, your command prompt, right? So once you have installed the library, all you have to do is import it. So you can say import Seaborn, and I'm going to use an alias called SNS because that's the common practice again. And along with Seaborn, I'm also going to import pandas as ed and numpy. So these are all the libraries that I will be using. Now, one thing that I absolutely love about Seaborn is that it's got a number of inbuilt data sets. What I mean by that, let me quickly show you guys. So all you have to do is say sns dot get underscore dataset underscore names, and if you just run it, you get a list of all the data sets that come within Seaborn, right? So you have anagrams. You can go ahead and load these data sets and just take a look at what's stored inside these. But I'm going to go ahead with the penguins data sets because I'm obsessed with penguins. So all you have to do in order to load the data set is give a variable. So I'm going to use the variable name penguins, and I'm simply going to say sns dot load underscore dataset, and I'm going to pass my dataset name, that is penguins. So you can just copy paste from here in order to avoid any errors. Also going to see the top 5 entries of my dataset, what it's going to look like. So these are my columns: species, island, bill length, bill depth, flipper length, body mass, and the sex or the gender of the penguins, right? So let me just see what all different species exist inside my dataset. So the basic EDA that I'm going to perform, I have already covered in my pandas tutorial. So if you guys have not watched it and you guys are finding it a little confusing what I'm going to do over here, you guys can quickly go ahead and watch the pandas tutorial. I have provided the link in the description. So inside the penguins data set, I'm going to specify my column, that is my species, and I'm going to say value underscore counts, and I'm going to run it. So as you can see, I have 3 different species and these are their counts. Right, so I have 152 Adelie species, 124 Gentoo species, and 68 Chinstab species. Similarly, I'm going to see the different islands that these penguins are distributed on. So simply I'm going to pass the island column over here. So if I run it, there. So again, I have 3 different islands, that is Bisco, Dream, and Togersen, and these are their counts, right? So I'm getting a little bit of an idea about my data set. So I have 3 different species and 3 different islands that these species reside on. So guys, one more important thing, it's very important to know about the features in your data set before you actually start working with your data set, because until and unless you know what these features are representing, you will not be able to do the right analysis, right? So let me quickly show you guys. So I have an image over here which is perfectly representing the bill length, the bill depth, the flipper length, the flipper depth, and the foot of a penguin. So basically these are the different measurements done on a penguin. So now that you guys have a basic idea, let's go ahead with our very first plot, that is a scatter plot. So what I'm going to do here is just say sns dot scatter plot, and I'm going to pass my first parameter, that is the data. My data is stored in the variable penguins, and my x variable is going to be my flipper length. So flipper underscore length underscore mm. So it is in millimeters. Then I have my y variable. So I'm going to represent the body mass given in grams, and I'm simply going to plot it. Okay. So there you have your scatter plot. So basically what this graph is telling us is that as the flipper length increases, so does the body mass. Okay. So in general, whenever a penguin has a higher body mass, say above 6,000, the flipper length is going to be around 220. Okay, so this is what the data is trying to represent over here. Now, Seaborn lets you pass a third feature as well. So you have your X variable, you have your Y variable. Now you can pass another feature. So say I want to distinguish, or I want to see which of these penguins belong to which island, right? So simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to say hue, and I'm going to pass my island feature, and this is the graph that I get. Okay, so I have the three different colors representing the three different islands. Now you can easily see that the islands represented by the green and the blue dot, that is Dream and Togerson, have lower body mass and lower flipper length of penguins, right? Whereas this particular island, Disco Island, has comparatively higher body mass and higher flipper length, or greater flipper length. Now, instead of island, I can also pass the sex feature. This is what my graph is going to look like, right? So, male and female. So, again, you can see the male penguins have a higher body mass and a higher flipper length as compared to the female penguins. All right. All right, so basically, Seaborn allows us a few default styling themes like white, dark grid, and text. There are two methods basically. So, one is set style, okay, and the other one is set context. So, first, let's go ahead and look at set style. So, over here, you can basically set the different backgrounds. So, if I say sns.setStyle and pass the parameter text, this is the kind of graph that I'll be returned. If I say white grid, you can see I am going to be returned a graph that will have grids and the background will be white. Similarly, I can do just dark, and over here the background is turned dark, and instead of dark I can say dark grid, and now I have a dark background with grids. Okay, so basically these are the different background styles that you can set with the help of sns.setStyle, and all you have to do is simply pass the parameter whatever background you want. And then you can just go ahead and plot your graph. Another thing that you can do in Seaborn is sns.dspine. And by default, it is going to help you remove the top and right spines of your graph. Okay, so let me just set the background to text. And now if you see, the top and the right spines are removed. If I say left equal to true, so you can see my left spine has also been removed. Okay, so I can go ahead and customize my graph in this particular manner. Another thing that I want you guys to know about is set context. So Seaborn has four different types of context. So context basically means that you can override the default parameters. So you can change things like the size of your labels, the lines, and other elements of your plot, but not the overall style. Okay, so the overall style is set by your set style parameter, whereas your context, like the size of your labels, your text, your lines, that is set by set context method. So let us just see the different types of context that Seaborn has. So the first one is paper. So this contains of small elements and it is more ideal for printing in academic papers. Then you have notebook, which is what we are working on, right? So this is supposed to be an ideal context for all the graphs. So this has medium sized labels and text, and it is good for working inside a Jupyter or Google Colab for that matter. Then we have talk, which is for presentations. It is going to have large text and lines. It is going to help in increasing the readability of our plots. Then we have posters. So this has very large elements. That is, all your fonts and styles are going to be extremely large so that they are printed in an efficient manner for large displays or posters. Okay, so now that you guys have understood, let us go ahead and set our context. So let me just do it for this particular plot itself. Okay, sns.setContext, and I'm going to do poster for this particular graph. And now as you can see, all my fonts and my plots, right, all my data points also have increased in size. If I were to say talk, they would decrease a little, right? So you can see they have decreased a little. If I say paper, they're going to be extremely small in size, as you can see over here, right? This is ideal for printing. Let me just remove this particular parameter because I want my left spine to be there. Right. And the last one that we have is notebook, which is, I think, our by default context. Yeah, these are the different contexts and these are different styles that we just discussed. Then there's something known as palette. Okay, this is very important when it comes to styling. So you have different sets in your palette. So set one is basically going to contain your bright and high contrast colors. Again, you can by default assign the different colors, but if you do not want to remember each and every color, you do not want to go that extra mile, you can just by default pass set one, set two, set three as your palette, and set 1 is going to have your bright and high contrast colors, whereas set 2 is going to have more softer or pastel colors. So it could include shades like baby pink and sky blue, whereas set 3 is going to be a mix of soft and bold, that is, it is going to have a varied hue. Okay, so these have 9, 8 and 12 respectively distinct colors. So these are the three sets, but your palette or your color palette also has different parameters like deep. So this is going to have a rich and balanced shade of colors, whereas muted is going to be comparatively softer range of colors or softer shade of colors. Bright is going to again be your high contrast bold colors. Then pastel is again your soft colors or your pale colors. Then dark is again a little dull side of colors. Then colorblind is optimized for colorblind accessibility. So Seaborn gives you that option as well. So since you have so many options in your palettes, you can also choose your palette type depending on your graph. So if you have a qualitative graph, that is, it is categorical in nature, the color assigned to each group needs to be distinct. Okay, so say suppose you're just plotting the different fruits in your data set. So you can set your palette type to be set 1, set 2, set 3, or pastel 1, dark 2, colorblind, etc. Okay, so this is going to help you distinguish each category based on the groups. Similarly, for sequential data type, that is a data with ordered progression, that is low to high or high to low, you can use a particular color and the different shades of those colors would be assigned to that particular data. So it is going to help you see the magnitude or intensity like population or revenue. Then you have diverging, that is when you have a midpoint and you have negatives as well as positives plotted in a graph. So you can use palettes like cool, warm, or red, blue, and so on. So it is going to help you see the positive versus negative changes in your graph, like the profit or loss or temperature changes. Okay, so these are the different use cases of a palette. So let us go ahead and try some. So in this particular plot, we would say we're sort of qualitatively distinguishing between our features. So I would pass my palette as set 1. So let me see what it's going to look like. Okay, so it's blue, green, and red. If I say set 2, you can see these are the pastel colors. And if I say set 3, there. Okay, so this is not a good choice for this particular graph because I can barely see the yellow color. Okay, so let me do dark 2 for this particular graph. Okay, D is going to be capital. Okay, so I think I'm going to stick to this because this is helping me distinguish all the data points very nicely. Okay, so we saw how we can plot a scatter plot between two numerical features. That is, we saw flipper length versus body mass. Now let me go ahead and plot a scatter plot where my data is going to be penguins and my X feature is going to be species. My Y variable is going to be body mass in grams. Okay, and let me classify this based on the islands. So if I go ahead and see the graph, okay. Now another thing that I want to add in this graph is I want to see the sex as well. So I want to also classify my data points based on male versus female. So I'm simply going to say style equal to sex. So style is basically going to define the style of our data points. So the round data points are the male data points and the cross data points are the female data points. Okay, so now my legend looks something like this. But now one problem over here is that my data points are overlapping a lot. Okay, so one thing that I can do is I can go ahead and say alpha equal to 0.5. So what this is going to do is it is going to decrease the opacity of my data points by default, and wherever there is an overlap, it is going to have a higher opacity of my data points. Okay, so since it makes reading the data somewhat clearer, it is not very efficient, right? I still cannot figure out a lot of things in this particular graph over here. So another plot that we have that is similar to scatter plot is known as strip plot. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to pass my hue as island, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say jitter equal to true. Okay, let me not do that for now. If I just run it, so now as you can see, my data points are somewhat more scattered, and this plot is giving me a somewhat better representation of my data spread, right? Now what I can do is I can go ahead and pass dodge equal to true. So what this is doing, basically it's going to separate my data points based on my hue. Okay, so earlier I had all these data points clustered together, but now they're spread away. Okay, they're divided based on the different islands. Okay, and I can also say jitter equal to true, which is again going to help me read my data better. Okay, so basically we pass jitter equal to true so that we can randomly spread our data points a little for better readability. Now, in order to randomly spread our data point, we have another plot that is again similar to scatter plot, that is known as swarm plot. Okay, so if you want to plot a swarm plot, all you have to do is say sns dot swarm plot and pass my data is penguins, and my x variable is species, my y variable is body mass in grams, and hue is island. If I go ahead and print my graph, you can see this is what it's going to look like. So it is basically going to give a swarm shape to my data, and this is going to help me read my data in a more efficient manner. So I can clearly see that in the Adelie species, most of the body mass is concentrated between 3,500 and 4,000, whereas there are a very few chinstrap species that reach the body mass index of 4,000. And lastly, the Gentoo species have comparatively higher body mass compared to both these species, right? And as you can see, the Gentoo species are only found on Bisco Island, whereas chinstrap species are only found in the Dream Island, and Adelie species are the only species that are found on all three islands, right? So you can also figure that out with the help of this particular plot. Now, in order to make it a little more pretty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my context to say talk, and I am going to despine my top and right spines in my chart. So there. Okay, so I have modified my graph a little bit using the Seaborn features, and this is what it looks like finally. So we saw how we can visualize two features together. Now, what if I want to just visualize one feature? So for that, I have something known as histogram. We have already seen this in our previous lecture on Matplotlib. So in order to plot my histogram, all I have to do is say sns.hisplot, pass my data, and I want my x-axis to represent my body mass in grams of all the penguins. So as you can see, so this is getting really difficult to read. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set my context back to notebook. Okay. And okay, so now it's much easier to read. So as you can see over here, around 60 penguins have the body mass of 4,000. All right. And only 10 have around 3,000, whereas even fewer, that is around 5, I think 4 or 5, have the body mass of 6,000. Okay, so very few penguins are, I don't know if it's overweight or healthy, I am not aware of that. So you can see the frequency distribution of the body mass, and now I want this to be divided based on the sex of the different penguins. So as you can see over here, more number of females have a lesser body mass, that is in the range of 3,000 to 3,500, whereas in the range of 5,500 to 6,000, more male penguins have a higher body mass, right? So in order to make it better, I'm going to say multiple equal to stack. So this is going to help me stack the different categories of my hues, right? So basically this is the distribution of male versus female body mass and the different counts that each of these have. So usually a histogram is combined with other plots like a KD plot or a regression plot, which is nothing but a trend line that helps you see the pattern in a more efficient manner. So let us go ahead and see the regression plot. Okay, so it basically helps us see the relationship between two variables and fits a regression line, which is basically a linear line, okay, through all the data points. So in order to plot a regression plot, all you have to do is say sns.regplot and pass your data, and then pass your x variable and y variable and print it. Okay, so as you can see, this is your trend line over here that is passing through your data point. So if you've studied linear regression, this plot becomes much more easy to understand and easy to read. So again, we've talked about the palettes, we've talked about how to style your plots. You can go ahead and experiment with that. I'm not going to go ahead and style each and every plot because again, that would take a lot of time. And if you don't want your data points to be visible over here, you can simply pass scatter equal to false, and now you would be only left with your regression line. Okay. So I want my data points to be visible, and what I can do is I can simply pass my color and I can say I want it to be green there. Okay, so you can go ahead and play around with your plots using these parameters. Then the next plot that we have is a line plot. So again, a line plot basically helps you visualize a numerical column in a continuous manner, right? So I can go ahead and say sns.line plot and pass my x variable and my y variable. And let me not use hue right now. So as you can see, this is what my body mass versus flipper length looks like. So when my body mass is around 3000, my flipper length is around 180. Okay, and when my body mass is around 4500, my flipper length is around 215 or 218. Okay, so let me just go ahead and say sns dot set style, and I want it to be a white grid. So now you can use the grids to help read your plot better. That is, if you are trying to make any inferences. So as you can see, this particular data point is crossing the body mass of 6000 and it's touching 230. So the maximum flipper length that a penguin has is 230. Now I want to see whether this particular penguin is a male or a female. So I'm going to pass hue equal to sex, and okay, so it's a male, right? So male penguins have higher body mass whereas a larger flipper length. Okay. Instead of sex, now I want to see the distribution based on island. I can simply pass island in my hue, and I can say style of my line should be represented by the sex. So now I can have both my sex and islands. So the dotted lines basically represent the female penguins, whereas the orange line represents the Bisco Island. Similarly, the green dotted lines are the female penguins at Dream Island, whereas the blue complete line represents the male penguins at Torgeson Island. So this is how you can plot a line plot between two numerical columns. Now there's something known as a join plot, which is nothing but it lets you combine two different plots. Okay, so you can combine two plots, like you can combine a scatter plot and a histogram. So you can simply say sns dot join plot and pass my data to penguins. Okay, so my x variable is going to be the body mass in grams and my y variable is going to be the flipper length. And if I plot this particular plot, so as you can see, this is my scatter plot, and over here on the edges, I get my histogram. So this histogram is basically representing the density of my data points. So wherever I have a higher density, my bars are going to be higher for that particular area. Okay, so this particular area has a higher density and it is being represented on both the axes in a similar manner. Now I can go ahead and plot a different kind of set of plots in a join plot. If I increase my number of parameters here, I say my hue is sex for now. And if I plot it, you can see I have scatter plot versus a density plot. So this plot is nothing but a smoother version of a histogram. So over here we have two colors, and these colors are representing the density of again the two data points that we have. Okay, so the orange data points are more dense at this particular area, whereas the blue data points are more dense over this area. Okay, so you can also go ahead and manually describe the kind of plots that you want. So I can go ahead and say KDE plot, and over here I would get a plot like this. So this is basically telling us the concentration of data points at a particular place. Okay, so as it's clearly visible over here, I have more data points over here and a slightly less concentration of data points over here. Similarly, for the male penguins, I can see the concentration of the data points. So instead of dividing my data points based on sex, I can also divide them based on the island. That I can pass my bar over here instead of a KD. Okay, no. So kind can be scatter, histogram, hex, KD, regression, or res ID. So let me go ahead and pass regression. Okay. So scatter plot is supported for this particular hue. Okay, if I do not have a parameter hue, I can go ahead and say I want it to be a regression plot, because then I would have my histograms over here, and now I can have a regression line based on these histograms. Okay. So I hope joint plot is clear. Now the next plot that we have is a bar plot. So again, this is very much similar to a histogram. All you have to do is say SNS dot bar plot and pass your data, your x variable and your y variable, and the category that you want to separate your two data points with. And then I have my different species, the body mass represented by each species, and the male and female distribution of both the species. Right? I can go ahead and pass my palette. I want the colors, say pink and blue. Okay. So similarly, you can also go ahead and change the different parameters. So instead of blue, let me have sky. Okay, much better. So this is somewhat a pastel palette version that I have implemented. Okay, so by default, the bar plot is telling us that this is the mean distribution of these species. So basically, what's happening here is the male Adelie species have an average body mass of 4,000, whereas female Adelie species have an average body mass somewhere around 3,400. Okay, so by default, the parameter of estimator is np.mean. Okay, so if I say np.sum instead, okay, there. Now you can see our scale has been changed. So the overall body mass of all the male species of Adelie is somewhere around 3 lakhs. Okay, and similarly now our scale has been changed to sum. I can also go ahead and change it to median. So I can check the median body mass of all the species based on their sex, that is male and female. I can go ahead and change it to standard deviation. Okay, so this is the standard deviation. I can also go ahead and see the variance. Okay. So this is the added advantage of Seaborn as compared to Matplotlib. If I were to plot a similar graph in Matplotlib, I would have to do a lot of manual calculations side by side in order to get this particular graph. But in Seaborn, I just have to pass a simple parameter called estimator, and I can change the scale or I can change the distribution to the way I want it. Now, what if I want to just simply count the different species of penguins that I have in my data set? So for that particular goal, I have something known as a count plot, which we also saw in Matplotlib. But there was no direct implementation of a count plot in Matplotlib. We had to manually count our categorical data using value counts. But over here in Seaborn, we have a direct implementation where I can simply say sns.countplot, pass my data equal to penguins, and my x variable is simply going to be species. If I go ahead and plot it, okay, so my data frame is not going to be in quotes. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So as you can see, I have around 150 Adelie species, whereas around 65 or 70 chinstrap and around 125 of Gentoo. Okay. So this is the distribution of the various species. I can go ahead and set my hue as island. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and set my palette to set to. There. Okay, so I have the different species in different islands and their count all in one graph. Okay. Alright, so moving on with the next plot, that is box plot. So again, this plot is used for detecting outliers, that is the extremely low or extremely high values in a particular column or feature. Okay, so this particular plot basically helps us identify the different groups in a feature through their quartiles. So a box plot basically uses three quartiles, which is 25%, 50%, and 75%. So let me show you guys through an image over here. So this is what a box plot looks like. So over here, this is an outlier because this is an extremely low value, and box plot has a minimum and a maximum range of value. So over here, for this particular plot, 10 is the minimum value and 90 is the maximum value. The median value lies somewhere around 55. So we have whiskers, which are basically the lines connecting the minimum and the maximum values along with the lower quartile, which is the 25 percentile, and upper quartile, which is the 75 percentile. Median is basically a 50 percentile. Okay. And what these percentiles basically represents is 25 percentile is basically representing all the data points that are below the 25th percent of this particular plot. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot a box plot using Seaborn. So all we have to do is say SNS dot box plot and pass your data, which is penguins, and I'm going to have my species. Basically, I'm going to create a box plot for body mass, and I'm going to group it using island, and I want it for the 3 different species. Okay, so this is what my box plot is going to look like. So I have the 3 species on my x-axis, and the y-axis is representing my body mass, and these are the box plots for the 3 different islands. So instead of island, I can also categorize them based on the sex, that is male and female, and this is what they're going to look like. Okay, so basically the chin strap species have outliers. That is, so there is one male penguin in the chin strap species that has an extremely high body mass compared to the other species, whereas there is one female penguin in the chin strap species which has a really low, that is below 3000 body mass. Okay, so this is something that we can easily figure out, and we can also see the median values for all the species and male and female respectively. So again, this particular species has an extremely high body mass for both male and female compared to the other 2 species. So we can say the male species of these 2 particular groups are pretty much the same as well as the female species. Okay, so this is basically what a box plot helps you figure out. You can also go ahead and play around with the palette, the colors, the background, and the other context that we just talked about. So the next plot that we have is known as a violin plot. So while I was learning the different plots, I think violin plot was one that I found most difficult to understand. So let me simplify it for you guys. It's very much similar to a box plot, but the only difference is it uses a KD, that is kernel density estimation. So this is what a violin plot basically looks like. Okay. Whatever features we just discussed for a box plot exists the similar way for a violin plot. It has a lower adjacent value. That means it has a minimum value, a maximum value. Okay. The point where this particular line ends is known as the maximum value. The dot over here represents the median, whereas this particular bar, the top part represents the 3rd quartile, that is the 75 percentile, the 1st quartile, that is the 25 percentile, and these are basically the whiskers. And the outside points are basically anything that lie beyond this particular graph. Okay, so let us go ahead and quickly plot a violin plot, and let me just do it using the same particular features that we used earlier. So if I go ahead and run it, so this is what a violin plot looks like. So again, it is helping us see the distribution of data, and we can also see the shape of our data, right? So I can see that my data points are mostly concentrated over here through this axis. So I can conclude that the female species of chin strap are mostly have the body mass around 3500. Okay. Similarly, I can do that for the other species as well, looking at the shape of my plot. Now, another thing that the violin plot offers is the split parameter. So if I say split equal to true, this is what my plot is going to look like. Okay, so basically it has been split for my male and female. So this is what a violin plot looks like, and this is how it's done. So basically, as I told you guys earlier, the width of my violin plot is going to represent the density of the data at different values. So if you see the plot being stretched at a particular point, you need to know that the data points are concentrated at that particular point. The middle line over here is the median value, and the thick bar is the interquartile range. That is, if there is an inner box equal to true. Okay, so if I pass inner equal to box, So what this is trying to tell us is this particular box over here is basically representing our interquartile range, that is IQR. So the interquartile range is nothing but the third quartile minus the first quartile. Okay. So that's it about violin plot. So I hope you guys remember swarm plot that we talked about earlier. So let me show you guys something. So if we do a violin plot for a species and body mass, and on top of that, if I do a swarm plot, and my x is again going to be species, and y is going to be my body mass, and my color is going to be black. And let me have the size of my data points as 3. If I plot this, so as you can see, my swarm plot is going to fit exactly inside my violin plot like this. Okay. So I can clearly see the distribution of my data points with the help of these two particular plots. Also, instead of passing the color black, over here, what I can do is I can pass my hue as eyelids. I'm going to give this a palette pastel, and if I run it now, okay, and over here I'm going to have palette of dark. Okay, so this is what my plot is going to look like. Then the next plot that we have is known as a KDE plot. So this is nothing but a kernel density estimation plot. So a KD is basically a probability density function of continuous data. In simple terms, we can say that it is a smooth version of a histogram. So it basically shows the distribution of data, just like histogram. So instead of bars, we have a line, and if we pass a hue function, we can have different color of lines. So it's basically going to help us see where the data is concentrated with the help of the peaks, and how it spreads with the help of the density of the graph. So in order to plot a KDE plot, all I have to do is say sns.kde plot, pass my data, my x variable, and pass my hue. And I'm going to say fill equal to true because I want my colors to be completely inside these particular lines. If I make this particular parameter as false, there it's just lines. Okay, so this is basically what a KDE plot is. This is basically just representing a histogram in a different manner. Okay, so I'm going to make this true because it looks much better with filled in graphs. Alright, so the next plot that we have is a heat map. So it is a 2D color coded matrix that shows the relationships or patterns between two or more variables. Okay, so it is commonly used to show the correlation between features. Visualizing the confusion matrices, that is something that we will be looking into deeply in machine learning in the later stages. And it also helps us highlight the missing data. So it has a simple function where you can see whichever data points are missing using the is null function. Again, that is something that you will be implementing in the later stages. So a heat map only allows to visualize the relationship between numerical columns. So let me go ahead and check which columns over here are numeric. So bill length, bill depth, flipper length, and body mass. Okay, so I can take these particular columns. So let me just copy it. Let me create a variable called columns, and let me just go ahead and pass these particular columns. So basically I've stored all the numerical columns in a list format in this variable columns. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a heat map using sns.heatmap, and then I'm going to say my data is going to be the penguins. Columns are all these columns, and I'm going to do a correlation on them. Okay, so let me just go ahead and print this for you so you guys know what this CORR function does. So as you can see, it's giving us a correlation. So bill length with bill length has a correlation of 1 because these are the same columns. But the features bill length and bill depth have a negative correlation. That means that as the bill length increases, the bill depth decreases. Okay. But bill length and flipper length have a positive correlation, which means as bill length increases, so does flipper length increase. Okay. Same with body mass. So this is basically what correlation means. It gives us the relationship between two numerical columns, whether one increases with the other or not. Okay. So for now, let me just go ahead and pass this in my heat map and see what it looks like. So as you can see over here, it's giving me a color encoded information about the correlation between these particular columns. So instead of numbers like this, we have colors which represent the different information. So the highest correlation has a peach color. Okay, so this is why all the diagonals have a peach color over here. And black represents very strong negative correlation. So flipper length and build depth. Okay, so these two particular have a very high negative correlation, and body mass and build depth also have a negative correlation. Okay, so this is something that you can infer from this particular graph. Now what I can do is I can say a note equal to true. So this is going to label my information on my color encoded box. So over here now it gets very easy for me to read this particular graph. I can also go ahead and change my color to, I can say, blues. So I want all the blues in my graph. So you can see the different shades of blue. The extremely dark shade of blue represents a positively high correlation, whereas a lighter shade of blue represents a negative correlation. Okay, so you can see it's almost white. And as the correlation moves towards the positive side, so does the shade of blue move to the darker side. Okay, so this is what is happening. Now, another thing that I can tweak over here is, say I want my negative correlation to start from 0.2 rather than minus 0.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say vmin, and I'm going to say I want it to be from minus 0.2, and once I run it, you can see my negative correlation is starting from minus 0.2 rather than minus 0.4. Okay, so I have changed my scale completely. And since my scale has been changed, the color over here of my boxes has also been changed. Okay, so this is how a heat map works. You can go ahead and play around with other parameters like line width. I can say I want it to be 2. Right now I think it's 0. Okay, so as you can see, I have a line between all my boxes over here, and right now it's white. I can go ahead and change my line color to black. So there. Alright, so moving on to the next plot, that is rug plot. So this is a very simple plot that adds small ticks or small lines, vertical lines along the axis that you define. And these ticks, like rugs, basically represent the different data points of your feature or your column. Okay. So these rug plots are generally used along with histograms or KD plots to give a little extra detail to your plot. So in order to plot a simple rug plot, all you have to do is say sns.rugplot and pass your data, which is penguins, pass your x and y variable, and I'm going to set my palette to set2. Okay, and once I run it, so you can see these are my lines over here representing the different species. I have passed my x variable as body mass and my hue is species. If I say I want this to be my y variable, my rug plot is going to be over here. Okay. I can also go ahead and change the height of all these vertical lines or rugs. I'm going to give it, say, 2. It's going to be pretty big. Okay. I was supposed to do it 0.2. Okay. So this is about rug plot. So the next plot that we have is a pair plot. Okay. So this is basically a grid of plots that shows the relationship between all the numerical variables in a data frame. Okay, so it basically does multiple plots together and helps you visualize all of these numerical variables together. So it's going to use a single plot to visualize the pairwise relationships and distributions in a data set. So in order to do a pair plot, all you have to do is say sns.pairplot, and we already have a list or variable specifying all our numerical columns. So I'm just going to go and use that. So my data is going to be penguins and all the columns that we specified. And if I go ahead and plot it, okay, if I do not pass this particular thing over here, so unlike a heat map, your pair plot is not going to raise an error if you pass your entire data frame at once, which is obviously going to contain categorical columns as well. So what pair plot does is it automatically filters out all the categorical columns and works only with the numerical columns. Okay, so I have not passed the numerical columns explicitly. Rather, pair plot has done it by default, right? So I can go ahead and play around a little with my features. I can say I want my hue to be sex, and I'm going to give my palette as set2. I don't know, I'm obsessed with set2. And I'm going to say I want my diagonal lines to be KD. That is, I want it to be the KD plot for the diagonal direction. And as you can see, I have the diagonal line covered with KD and I have scatter plot for all the other features. Okay, so this is a pretty big plot having multiple pairwise relationships. Okay, so you can go ahead and understand them all one by one. I'm not going to do that right now because that's going to take up a lot of time. Rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the different parameters that exist in pair plot and how you can use them. Okay, so basically what a pair plot is doing over here is it is showing you a lower triangle and an upper triangle. Okay, so this is a pair plot. Over here we have a diagonal line which we have specified to be as KDE. Okay, and then what we're left with is a lower triangle and an upper triangle. So we have scatter plots for our lower triangle as well as upper triangle. For our diagonal, we can either specify our distribution to be a KDE plot or it can be a histogram. So I've just written hist over here. So this is basically what's happening. So if I go ahead and try to have my lower triangle, so I can go ahead and change this to histogram, which was there previously. There. So you have your histogram and you have your scatter plots. Okay, so this is what a pair plot looks like. Now the last plot for this particular video is a pair grid. Now this is an interesting one because mostly this is not covered in many places. So a pair grid is basically a subplot grid for plotting pairwise relationships in a data set. Okay, so it's very similar to a pair plot, but we're going to see how it acts differently or how it behaves differently. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called graph, and then I'm going to say sns dot pair grid and pass my data as penguins, and I'm going to classify my hue with sex, and I'm going to give my palette set 2, and then I'm going to define that in my upper triangle I want a scatter plot, in my lower triangle I want a KDE plot, and on the diagonal I want a histogram. Okay, so now what I'm doing over here is I am defining each and every parameter on my own. I'm defining my lower triangle. Okay, this is my upper triangle. This is my lower triangle. And this is my diagonal. If I run it, so as I defined, I wanted a scatter plot in my upper triangle. So as you can see over here, these are my scatter plots in my upper triangle. I wanted KD plots in my lower triangle. So we have KD in our lower triangle and I wanted a histogram on my diagonal. So this is how you can define the various parameters, and you can also go ahead and say graph dot add legend. So this is going to give me a legend. So now as you can see over here, I have my legend which is specifying the different colors, which one represents male and female. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys understood Seaborn and I hope you guys found it much easier to work with comparatively to Matplotlib. So if you guys liked it, do hit the like button and thank you and see you in the next video.